What I'm going to do now is record, as per Robert Planck's system, um, a short book. And the book is in relation to um, people who suffer from burnout and stress, anxiety, and what they might do. So this is the first go. I've never done this before. I'm rather nervous, to say the least of it, as I think you might pick up from my voice. But I'm going to have a go anyway. Okay, so my target audience for this are people in the healthcare industry who are, touching on the end of their tether. They've been working for a year and a half now under extreme pressure and stress with the COVID crisis. Some people won't have had holidays for quite some time. They've been working continuous long shifts, and they may well be feeling they can't go on much longer. And a lot of them could be well questioning why they're in this, sector at all. Why do they stay? Why not just give it up and go move on, find something easier to do? So question one is, why am I so stressed and anxious? I feel like I'm going to crack up. I'm going to have a nervous breakdown. What's going on with me? So why am I so stressed and anxious? Well, quite simply, the reason you're stressed and anxious is because you're running on empty. If you've been working consistently for any period of time, never mind 18 months, without proper rest and relaxation and recuperation, and the ability to recreate your body and your mind on a daily basis, then you are eventually going to run into stress. That stress will, stress is a normal part of life, but what we're talking about here is a much more I suppose, damaging kind of a load on you. We're all familiar with the kind of stresses that come with doing exams or passing tests or, reaching a deadline, things like that. Those stresses come and they go. There may well be stress around money. You could be short of money at a particular time, but at other times you'll have enough money to do what you need to do. So that stress comes and goes as well. And what we're talking about here now is stress that doesn't come and go. It just seems to build up and keep going and growing and growing. And it eats a bigger and bigger part of your day, more and more of your attention, and unfortunately a huge amount of your energy. So you end up getting up in the morning and you're tired, you're going into work and it just looks bleak because you can't see this ending. And even when it does relieve and it does end, you find that relief doesn't come with it just because you've less work to do now. Doesn't automatically top up your tank, if you like. So the question then is, well, what's going on with me? Well, everybody's different in the sense that what could be happening to me in that situation could be very different to what's happening to you. But there is, I suppose, a reasonably settled amount of things that will happen to people. And typically, we're talking about, the way you think. You're going to be finding yourself thinking more negatively and less easy to think positively. Things that cheered you up and that you laughed at a year ago don't have the same effect on you today. In fact, they may even make you angry. Your patience is shorter. Your tolerance is lower. Your tolerance for other people's mistakes and your tolerance for things not going right and things not going the way you want them to will be lower. Some people may find themselves on the verge of tears on a daily basis. And because of the way our society works, and work in particular works, we're always inclined to think that, well, what's wrong with me? What am I doing wrong? Whereas in fact, there's nothing usually wrong with you at all. And what's happening to you is entirely appropriate for the situation that you're in. What's wrong is the situation. What's wrong is continuing in it, So how do I stop feeling like this? Well, that's the word, stop. You have to stop. So the first thing to do is to recognize that this is where you're at. This is what's happening, Sit back and stop trying to push it off or defend it. Stop trying to explain it away. Literally look yourself in the eye in the mirror and say, I can't cope with this any longer. I don't want to cope with this any longer. I want this to change. And that's the first big step, because that brings you into, like, what am I going to do now? What's next? And so, first thing before we do that is look at, how is this different from normal stress? Well, normal stress, as I said earlier, comes and goes. It rises and it falls. It has peaks and it has hollows. Um, it doesn't. It doesn't tear your life apart. Everybody is well able for a certain amount of stress. Um, and but this is the kind of stress that taking a weekend off is not going to solve. Going out and having a few drinks is not going to solve this. Going for a walk is not going to solve this, because you're in a situation where you're already carrying too much of a burden in your mind and on your